Hello and welcome to Photography Out Loud. My name is Paul Davis, and as always, I'm joined with my colleague Joel Longbone. How are you doing today? Can't hear you. Unless you can't hear me.
I can hear you.
There we go.
Oh. Hopefully it works.
There we go. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
Maybe it is lag, possibly. So.
Cool. Oh. We're used to lag by now.
Well, what a great start, eh? That's what we like to see. A nice bit of technical difficulties on the on the way in. So I feel
that one of your heroes, Tony the Tiger.
Yeah, they're great.
That's great.
I'm feeling quite
yours was
in the shadows today. You know.
Oh really?
I'm very like black.
Like the last time with the tripod thing.
I know.
Just a floating head.
Whoops.
It's a happy little
But
head.
we live and learn. We live and learn,
Yeah,
don't we?
True.
You know.
We like
Next
the
time,
low-key
white background.
vibe. Yeah, we like the low-key vibe.
Yeah. I thought the setup was quite nice. I think the thing that we didn't take into account was the rendering sort of over onto over live. So it looked it looked good on the camera. Doesn't matter what goes out to the world, does it? No? Yes, it does really, doesn't it? So anyway, how's your week been, Joel?
Yeah, good. I've tried to have a holiday, so it was good.
Good. It's all in the effort. It's what we like apparently. To see. Yeah. It's well. Hopefully, you've had time to relax a little bit, which is
my eyes don't seem to suggest that that's happened. Looks like I'm about to go on holiday with the bags under my eyes.
Yeah. But then again, you know, that's what having kids is about, isn't it, as well? So
that's very true. I did quite a lot of traveling. I had a wedding and stuff to go to, so good times.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant!
Seems strange going to a wedding.
And what? Not photographing it.
Yeah.
Or just going to a wedding in general after these last couple of years.
Yeah, both, I think.
Yeah, no, I can get behind that. Right,
so what was your week like?
It's good. It was good. So I've got some projects that are coming up that are going to be fairly interesting to video and photograph. So looking forward to doing those. And I got very excited this week as well, because obviously we had the and it was nicely named as well, which was the Fuji X Summit that got released. Yeah. So they went all out. You know, they went live and everything. So which was absolutely awesome. But we've seen quite a few things that have been dropped as well. So I think because, you know, this is a photography episode, then we should really talk about the latest cameras that have come out and lenses. So, and obviously Fuji have dropped some massive things and some updates as well on some of the cameras. So should we start with the big boy? We've got to start with the big boy, haven't we?
What, the XT30?
Yeah, of course. Oh, brilliant. Hope Richard or like someone like Andreas is watching just to hear you say that.
Okay, GFX 50S Mark II.
Yeah. So unbelievable. For a couple of reasons. I mean, if people haven't seen it and are aware of the range, then obviously in the past we've seen the GFX 100S, which has been brilliant. 100 megapixel version. It's got the PASM sort of mode dial on top of it. But more importantly, it's been, you know, shrunk into a shape that is more like holding a full frame sort of DSLR. And what we're seeing now from the 50S Mark II is basically a 51 point something megapixel version of the 100S. And all of the other features are essentially exactly the same as the 100. It's just a 50 megapixel version of it.
Which is the same sensor as the 50, but a different processor. So it has some improvements in terms of image quality and speed, even though it doesn't have phase detection autofocus. It's still faster, isn't it, than the 50S was previously and the 50R. So but it's got IBIS, which is amazing.
Yeah,
and it can do the 200 megapixel pixel shift image making, which is fantastic for those that want to do even higher resolution, like copying and stuff like that. So exciting times.
And I think that it's obviously a great camera and blah blah blah. So it fits well into the range. But I think the really nice thing about it, I would say, is the price point as well. So, and obviously the lens that they've brought out at the same time, which is the new 35 to 70 lens, which is tiny, lovely, small and neat lens. But together,
isn't it?
So it's 3899 for the two together. So we're talking like 850 prices. We're talking 5D Mark IV prices, but you're getting a full medium format size sensor, which is going to give you sort of better control in low light environments. You've got obviously the color science that comes with Fujifilm as well, which we all love.
The IBIS.
The IBIS. So I mean, there's a lot of things for it, mate. I think
it's going to make people question their choices in life when it comes to deciding on new.
It's on the table now, isn't it? It's like, I'm wanting to get, high resolution images. You'd go 5D Mark IV, you'd go 850. You'd start looking into some of the other mirrorlesses. So, you're looking at A7R, you're looking at R5, Z7. But now, where you in the past you wouldn't look at the medium format from, because you just different realm. But now it's slid in there, hasn't it? It's a nice little price point that's slid in on there. So
and also with their increasing range of lenses in terms of both size, focal length, and price points, I think it's very compelling to enter into the conversation of having a medium format camera for not a huge amount of money, which is kind of bonkers.
It's still a lot of money,
but compared to if you're going to go Phase or Hasselblad or something, it just it's not even a conversation, is it? And we all thought it was bonkers when they brought out like the GFX 50S originally for like what was it, just under 10 grand, wasn't it originally? And then they, what was it, 7 or 8?
It floated around the 6, didn't it? Yeah.
And it's been coming down, and you think that was an incredible price. The lenses were like a really good price, and now we're at a price where you can literally buy a medium format for the same price as a decent DSLR, which is bananas. So maybe you'll be seeing more of them at weddings and things like that, and portraiture.
I think so. Yeah, I really, really do. So
because you can't even complain about weight anymore.
No, it's
super
lightweight. It's really nice.
It's literally going to be from a creative and a kind of specs point of view, isn't it? In terms of whether it's fast enough to do what you want it to do, whether you need all those megapixels, and whether medium format works for you. But I think all the other kind of questions of price and things like that are just taken off the table, size and stuff. So.
Yeah. You mentioned it before. We made a little bit of joke about it, but actually, it's a nice little release that we've got coming as well. From so the XT30 has been upgraded into the Mark II version, so which is sort of putting it in line to sort of where it should be, really. So it's got essentially the insides of an XT4. So, it's got the...
confusing the whole numbering, because it used to be XT10, 2030, and you just go, it's the same sensor as the XT3, XT2, XT1, whatever, and now they've gone XT30 Mark II, but it's got the XT4 sensor, which is pretty bonkers, really, considering how small the camera is and how good the XT4 is as a camera. But it was the same with the original XT30 when it was the same as an XT3. If you had an XT3 and you were, a pro photographer, then you could buy an XT30 as your backup camera because it was essentially the same thing. It just handled differently and had, a few less specs in terms of like weather sealing and build quality, but equally you had the sensor, which was fantastic. So.
And that's where a lot of, like you said, there's a couple of settings inside the camera that have been added to the XT4, which you won't find on the XT30 Mark II. But obviously, like you said, the main changes between the two bodies is the robustness of going up onto the XT4, and obviously the weather sealing as well. So I think to weather seal a body is we've seen it in Olympus as well. When you look at the Olympus range, there's quite a jump up in price to get the weather sealing in, and I think it's needed there. I think it's quite expensive to make a camera sort of weather sealed like that. So
and you need the physical size to be able to put all the seals in, don't you?
Exactly,
and to keep it cool enough and things like that. So
yeah,
it makes sense.
So
it makes sense.
They're arranged so you can buy them body only. They're available with the 15-45 sort of pancake lens that they do, which is a really nice price point lens. But then it's also available with that legendary 1855 as well, so you can buy it in
2.8 f4.
Oh yeah, lovely lens. And again, it's to directly replace the XT30. So the XT30 is gone, and the 30 Mark II is just going to slide right into the price, even at the same price point. So price point is not cheap. If anything, the last promotion brought the XT30 price down a little bit, and the XT30 Mark II has just slid into that sort of promo price point as well. So with the 1855, I think it's 1099. So it's really, it's a really affordable body. I think with the all available on our website, but I believe with the 1545, it's about 849, which for what, with a lens, body with a lens, that camera and that lens that's a great price for the two.
It is for sure.
And speaking about two, there are two new lenses that Fuji have announced as well. So, which is an upgrade on the 23mm 1.4. So now we're seeing, I think they've slightly sort of had a look at the optics of it, so made it a bit sharper, wide open. But the main thing is that they've added weather sealing into the 1.4 version. And also we've seen a brand new lens, which is the 33mm 1.4. What's that mean? Oh, 33. Got it. Yeah. Nice. Like it. Good bit of business. Good bit of business. Yeah. So, and once again, I can't remember. It's like LMRWR or something at the end of it. Yeah. But yeah, all the good bits.
Motor, hasn't it? So it's got a really fast autofocus motor in it. And I'm intrigued to see what it's like, because 33 is a very bizarre focal length in terms of just the
what is that calculator?
It must be like,
unless you can do it in your head, 50, Joel.
It's like 50
33
something, isn't it?
Times 1.6, 52.8.
It's really bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah. So
it's like the 56mm that they had.
Yeah,
it's a pretty bizarre number to have as well, but great lens. I'm intrigued to see what that one's like, because I like 50mm as a focal length, like I'm sure most.
Well, if anything, because we considered, we used to go, the 35 is pretty much a 50. So what they've actually done is made it a little bit closer to that actual 50, haven't they? So which is a bit nicer. Like you said, that 50mm range is just nice, isn't it? It's just what you're used to seeing.
Yeah, I love the 23 as well because I love the X100 series. So I'm quite interested to see what it's like. Not that
Quite
I have
happy with the two.
Yeah, so yeah, it'll be interesting. And also their roadmap is looking interesting as well with some other announcements of longer lenses, which I think will be very interesting going
Yeah.
forwards.
So yeah, the roadmap's been updated as well, which I can't remember what they are, Joel, to be honest. So unless you do, there was a lot of information to take in. So and I remember the things that were actually out. So
The
but I think they've got more. That's it. I knew there was something
pretty
big.
Game changing getting the 150-600 Fuji.
Yeah,
like
but it's a while off though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like a couple of years.
It's going to be a while. So,
but it just helps you understand, and also it tells you what their next range of cameras is going to be, because you don't release a 150-600 with like, X Pro 1 autofocus speeds. Do you know what I mean? Like it's gonna have to be pretty mega, because it's gonna be wanted to be used with like wildlife, sports photography, motorsport photography. Like it's gonna have to be super fast lens in terms of autofocus.
Fuji have got to up their autofocus game.
Yeah, for sure. Especially when you see like the rest of the mirrorless manufacturers really killing it with their autofocus speeds.
Yeah.
And face detect, animal detect, all those things, and being able to buy OEM lenses for them. So, and also along with like Sigma bringing out their 150-600 for E-mount, like it really gives the consumer a lot of choice in terms of what mirrorless system to go down. And I think it's exciting that Fuji are going to bring out a hopefully fantastic lens, if it's like pretty much every other lens that they've ever made, because they're very, very good at making lenses for sure. So.
Yeah, I don't have any query with the lenses, because we know that they're just amazingly sharp. It's just that focusing they've got to get a handle on, which I'm sure they have. I mean, we're just we're just people just chatting, Joel. And if we're talking about this, they've definitely had conversations about it at Fuji, haven't they? Fuji Film.
People much more intelligent than us, mate. You got to do 10 press ups now. 10 press ups.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's the new rule, isn't it? So I'll just add it onto the bill.
And incidentally, I was going to say, we've got James on soon. I'm trying to remember what date it was, which is exciting. So put that in your diary, people.
Yeah.
Well, when I say soon, isn't it like it's the 1st of October. So just a month away. But it's because TPS is in the way, isn't it? So the whole world's going to go mad for TPS.
And actually, though they've been announced, they're going to be available more towards that date. So exactly.
We'll hopefully we'll get hands on and have a play.
Yeah. So we're going to do a full rundown of the new sort of Fuji system in a month's time, if you're interested in it. So anyway, moving on to today's topic. Definitely. So we keep getting questions, Joel. Keep getting questions through.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, which is always nice to see. So, and today is all about us answering questions. So if you've got any questions and you're watching live, drop them into the comments.
Yeah, we should quickly say hello to people.
Yeah, we've had a couple of hellos. Hi,
Ian says, afternoon, you two. Hope you're well. Afternoon, good to see you. And Rob says, hi, guys. Hope all is well. We are well, I think. Paul is well. I'm pretty well, apart from my cough, which is not COVID. It's just a cold, because I've been off work. And when I'm off work, my body just goes, ah.
Yeah, relax. Let everything in.
Exactly.
Yeah. So yes, we get sometimes we get asked questions live, which we try and get to when we do. So if you've got if you're watching live and you've got any photography related questions, drop them into the comments and we can ask them live. If not, still drop them in, and at some point we'll do another ask a question episode where we can go back through them and dig in. So Joel,
there are
I'm hoping...
no stupid questions.
Well, no, there isn't. There isn't actually. I was going to make a joke there, but I don't think it'd be funny, because there aren't. And something that might seem like, oh, I don't want to ask this or anything like that. And it's a very valid question, and potentially really simple answer, but those are sometimes the one that really sort of get you and that slow everything down. And we're here to try and help you enjoy your hobby as well. And if there's something a little niggly that's getting in the way, stopping you enjoying your hobby, that's why we do these sort of ask a question episodes to help you along in that scenario.
And also, an answer to a question can get you from point A to point B, and sometimes you just need that link, and it'll just move you along in your photography. And hopefully, we might be able to find that. And if not, try asking another question, and we'll try our best to help you. Right,
Indeed.
First one. There's some strange letters / numbers like C3 and C4 on my camera. What are these for?
Okay.
Well, hopefully the C4 isn't an explosive.
Right. Cheers for taking my joke. So I'm guessing, yes, strange letters on cameras. So I know some cameras, they have customizable buttons. Yeah, FNs is another one. So and sometimes they're found on wheels. So essentially when we see like FN, or so function is the shortened version of that, or normally when we see like Cs, these are either customizable buttons or customizable menus. They're normally found on like wheels on the top, so where you'd find your PASM. So you might have like C1, C2, C3 within there. Those are sort of like a full mode that you can set up for, I would say, a very specific type of photography. So the way that I normally refer it to is, say if you like doing landscapes, but then you come home and you do a little bit of eBay photography on the side. So basically, for eBay, you want like low resolution. You might want to sort out your saturation, your contrast, all of those things. So actually, you just need to take a picture straight into the computer and upload it straight away. These what the C buttons on the wheel are very good for. So on most cameras, what you'd normally do is you'd go into the modes that you want to shoot on, for instance, like program mode or aperture mode, then go through the menu, set it up sort of how you want it for that sort of specific type of photography that you're doing. Then, depending on brand, you'd go into a part of the menu which says, assign all of this that I've set now to C1, C2, C3. And then when you put all your settings back on program modes that you were on before, and then you change back onto the C1 or C2 or C3 on the top, it will save those previous settings that you put in to that particular mode.
And then the other ones are great for like autofocus or ISO, depending on your camera, where you want to be able to turn off, like I have on my Sony, turn off face detect.
Yeah, and this is the thing that I always say, isn't it? When someone borrows my camera, that all my settings are changed. And really, what I'm referring to is somebody's reassigned my custom buttons. So yeah, if you're seeing,
makes a big difference.
It does. It makes a massive difference. So any button. Now, there's some, depending on cameras. I know we use Sony, and I know some of them, they've got writing on the button. So it might even say like ISO on one of the FN buttons or C buttons, because its default is sort of that mode. But then again, in a menu system, as long as it's got one of the custom symbols next to it, you can actually change it to something else. So just because there might be some maybe menu automatically assigned to it, it's actually, wrote on the...
Written's right.
Oh, look at me, learning. On the actual button, doesn't mean that you can't recustomize it in the menu. So, and it's really just things that you're constantly wanting to change all the time. So, it's great, like you said, for what's it, face detect on and off, was it? Or
I find it super useful for like events, or even like running around after my children, trying to get pictures of them in the garden or whatever, and then it's focusing on something else, or it's focusing on their face, but I'm like, I don't want the face in focus. I want whatever else in focus, and just being able to press the button and it like switch between. And then also I like to switch between my focus modes in terms of whether I want spot or the entire frame, and so I can just kind of press that and cycle through, and that makes life way faster when you're shooting really quickly. Maybe not as advantageous for things like landscape photography. You'd use it for like other settings, perhaps like ISO, maybe, I don't know. But being able to switch between, and also not being able to have to think about going into the menus and go, which page was it of like the million that most cameras have nowadays? You can literally go, oh yeah, I just want to change that. And then on top of that, having my menu, or like on Fuji, it's the quick menu, and Olympus have one. Like they all have their own various kinds, but being able to set out your choice of things that you'd like to change quickly but don't have enough buttons for, or it's just not something you use very often for a button, but just being able to go in, like on my X100V, I like to have film stim really easy to change, just from if I want to try some black and white or whatever, just being able to have it there and just be able to cycle through it quickly makes life much easier. So.
As a little side note to it as well, when sometimes we refer to cameras going, oh, they're pretty much the same, but this version has more functionality. This is what we're talking about, is when you generally, I mean, Canon are sort of renowned for it. They've got so many sort of DSLR models, even on the market today, the 2000, 250, 850, and as you go up that range, essentially what you're getting is a little bit more customization, and there's more buttons that you're able to push, and the menus open up to allow you to have more customization. Because all cameras are basically because all cameras are very good now, aren't they? Yeah.
You buy a washing machine for like $1,000 and it'll make you a cup of tea at the same time as washing all your laundry and dry it and stuff. Whereas if you're spending like a couple £100, it's just gonna wash your clothes and that's it. And I think that's the same with cameras, isn't it? They just charge you for the extra features.
Yeah, which is a shame, but it's part of it, though, isn't it? It's just part of it.
It's the way to make money, isn't it? And also, that's slightly cynical, because equally, if you are just starting out, you don't need all the settings of like a 5D Mark IV or an 850D. You just don't. Yeah. It just do you more harm than good. And just being able to simply go, right, I'm going to take a picture, I'm going to put it in program mode, and it will do as I want it to. Like, that's something all you need. Yeah, sometimes all you need, instead of being able to go through like a million different things like bracketing and focus stacking and all this nonsense. And you're like, I don't know what this does. I just want to take a picture.
Yeah. Definitely.
So we're not terribly cynical, are we, Paul? Only sometimes.
No, only sometimes. Right. No, thank you to whoever asked that question. So I'm guessing we've got a few more there, Joel.
Yeah. So this one, I guess it goes along with the other one. My camera says drive. Does it have automated driving like a Tesla? I guess automatic is a bit like automated driving of a Tesla. But I think probably the setting you mean is like where you get to choose timer, or like multiple shots or single shot, which is a very, very useful feature on almost every camera has it. Even compacts will have a drive. They might call it something else, or just have a button with a stopwatch with a 2 or a 10 next to it, or like one rectangle over the top of the rectangle over another rectangle. And it basically, it just comes back from like the olden days when they used to have like motor drives on film cameras and stuff like that, where you'd be able to take multiple shots, but you'd have to have normally something bolted on the bottom that would actually manually wind the film on.
Yeah, it would be a drive, and that's why it's called drive. There's a couple of things that have been brought forward from ye olden times that because we haven't updated
sense
our.
If you never started there.
Yeah, because actually,
it's like on computers. It's like on computers with the save icon. It's a floppy disk. You ask, like, I don't know if you've ever watched those YouTube videos where like kids look back at like old technology or old films or old music from like 20 or 30 years ago, and they're like, what does this even mean? And you're like, oh goodness, I'm definitely getting old, because they don't know what the save symbol means. But like nobody's seen a floppy disk in about 20 years or 30 years.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it's very true.
That's the
It's very
age-old. So, but yeah, that's where drive comes from. Doesn't mean your camera's going to drive you anywhere. Although I suppose that's something in the future, maybe. So.
It would be really nice, though, wouldn't it? You know, especially voice activated as well.
I feel like we'd have to have more space in the shop, though, if we're going to start having things that can drive us places.
Yeah. Morning A720. Please drive to more Shabod, please. Thank you very much.
Nice. The cafes do exist, but that one's a very good one.
It's legendary.
Right. This one's probably more for you, to be honest. I want to see the moon. What should I use? And don't say your eyes.
Want to see the moon. So if you've got so basically anything that is going to give you extra magnification. So you can use a pair of binoculars. So if you've got any old pair of binoculars, then obviously increasing that magnification is always going to help. Strangely enough, Joel, depending on the magnification that you're using or the type of binoculars that you might be using, you may need to put sunglasses on at night.
Or a moon filter if you've got like a fancy,
or a moon filter,
telescope.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's quite funny that, isn't it? Or
could
you imagine your neighbours looking at you? Why is he wearing sunglasses at night?
Your eyes will naturally adjust, but sometimes when there's a lot of black, sort of potentially like around the moon, depending on the magnification, the irises that very much act like an aperture in a camera will potentially stay open. So
your exposure meter's not working properly.
Yes,
you need to engage spot metering.
Yeah, which incidentally you can do, because if you do concentrate on the actual moon, chances are your eyes will adjust and do that, because the human body is a very clever thing. So, and typically the more magnification you have, the easier it will be to your eyes to adjust. But essentially, obviously, the moon is reflecting light directly off the sun. Sometimes it can be brighter than other times, and if you do feel a little bit of eye strain, then just put some very light tinted glasses on, and that'll help. If it's funny that you said about the metering mode as well, because it would be the same if you wanted to take a picture of it. So use the longest lens that you possibly can, but because there's a lot of black around the frame, what you tend to get just on a more automatic mode is that you'll get a lot of black, and then your moon will just be a white circle. So you think, because it's at night, should I let more light in? And it's actually the opposite that you want to do, and you want to take some of the light away that the camera is thinking of doing. So just moving your something like exposure compensation down to like -2 would really make a big difference for actually taking photos of the moon.
And in terms of telescopes or spotting scopes, any advice on, because we're coming up to Christmas, so.
Yeah. So obviously you can get astronomical telescopes. The moon, in relationship to sort of looking at stars and planets and stuff like that, is fairly close to us. So typically what you find, if you're interested in the stars and you're wanting to get something to look up at the sky, if you get a telescope to do this, typically what you'd be doing if you're looking at the moon is you'd probably be looking at segments of the moon, which is really interesting. And a lot of sort of so we do a very popular one. It's made by Celestron. It's called like the 114 Auto Sense. I can't remember exactly what it is. It sells for like 200 quid, fully automated, uses your phone, the technology from your phone to help you position in the night sky. Absolutely stunning piece of equipment. But with something like that, you would be seeing a very small sort of segment of the moon. But then you can use things like normal looking over the land scopes, which sometimes we refer to as a spotting scope, or then those are very good for looking at the moon as well. And benefit to them is that you can use them sort of in the daytime to look over the hills or out to sea. And those are very affordable as well.
And you mentioned obviously being able to take pictures with your camera with a long lens, but we also sell adapters, don't we, where you can attach your phone or compact camera or even your DSLR or mirrorless interchangeable camera, and then you can really like go to town on being able to get very, very detailed shots. And yeah, it's very cool. And also with spotting scopes as well, you can be taking pictures of wildlife and the moon with your phone, which is, I think, still boggles my mind. It's fantastic that you can get like multiple use out of it. So the seagulls are very loud today, aren't they, mate?
Yeah, I can't. I've got ear cancelling headphones on, so I can only hear you. So I've got some noisy seagulls around.
Yeah.
Lol. Yeah, I was quite surprised I didn't directly go to telescopes when you asked that question. I went to binoculars straight away.
Yeah. Maybe you're starting here and like moving on up.
Yeah. I mean, dig down into that maybe later on, but
yeah.
Anyway.
Okay. We'll try one or two more maybe, and then we'll say goodbye. Right. This might be controversial, Paul. Someone mentioned HDR to me the other day. I don't understand what it is. Well, HDR stands for High Dynamic Range, and if used properly, can be a very useful tool in photography, or it can be like the worst thing ever, and you create horrible, horrible images that just don't look right, and the colors are wonky.
Yeah. So to the point of where actually most cameras actually have HDR features, because that is the correct terminology for it. But because HDR has got such, let's say, a controversial name, so we're not, saying that bad rep or anything. So it doesn't have a bad rep; it's got a controversial rep.
Well, there we go. Very diplomatic.
Yeah,
Paul will be joining the politicians next year.
So, but we do find this on cameras, but we tend to refer it to as so as you said, it's high dynamic range. But normally on modern cameras now, we hear the word optimized dynamic range, or we're just using dynamic range, and we can increase it or decrease it. We tend to not hear the word high dynamic range at the moment. So, but really, it's all the sort of same thing. I think, what it has come to is, the camera has a certain range of light that it sees. Typically, as again, what we see, we probably see a bigger range of different shades of light and color than a camera does see. So, when we're looking out, especially on things like sunsets and things like that, we see the wonderful colors, and, we can still see little bits of details on like houses and farms in the distance and things like that. But potentially when the camera sees it, we might get the color of the sky, but then it's all very black in the foreground. So people started using HDR to really mirror the effects of what you might see with the human eye, and I think that got taken a step further, and a style was made to actually take the range of light that we'd normally get from the camera and actually increase it past what we'd normally see with the naked eye, and it is a very interesting effect, but obviously it feels unrealistic because we're seeing more range than we would actually see in reality, especially when you've got a sunset and it's the same exposure as the inside of inside of a tunnel. Yeah, cave or a tunnel. Yeah. Or, underneath a rock or underneath something, your eye normally in that environment would just conceive that as being pitch black anyway. Yeah. So it's a very fine line. I think there's some people that take, that increase it past what we normally see and actually do a really good job.
It can be... sorry.
Okay, go on, you're all right.
It can be very useful for certain circumstances, certain genres of photography. When, for instance, indoor photography of interiors, where you might have a window with a beautiful view, but the room can be quite dark, and just the way that the natural light overpowers the light inside the building. Being able to take 2 or 3 or more shots and then evenly blend them so that you can have, oh, that's a really nice view outside. Maybe your property overlooks some nice woodland or some nice hills or the sea, and being able to show that, but then also be able to show inside the house and it not just be, oh, that's like a letterbox looking through a letterbox because everything else is dark around. It just, like that time, it's very tasteful and very useful because it's helping to sell like the property, for instance. Or when you go to maybe a cathedral or an old building, like a museum, where you can show the various levels of light inside, and you might want to be able to show more of the building because it's quite a big building and there's no way you'd light it effectively, especially in a short period of time. So being able to use HDR is great. There's quite a few pieces of software that help you get a really nice blend, and there's lots of guides on how to kind of get the raw data initially and then build up your image. And it's controversial because some people just don't do it tastefully, but other times some people do it so well you would struggle to know, except the fact that you understand technically that just physically wouldn't be possible with modern cameras. Although, like, it came a lot from when back in the day when a digital camera would have only a few stops of dynamic range in reality. And now we're up to cameras that can do like 14 or 15 stops, or maybe even more possibly, which is ridiculous when we think about what's achievable now from a sensor. But equally, TVs now show HDR effectively, so it's becoming more and more popular from that point of view. Our phones will do HDR because they have that ability to take multiple pictures and blend them together in camera or in phone. So yeah, you may have seen me especially pull a funny face, but it's just because I've seen some really awful HDR. But equally, there are some very, very nice HDR shots, and it's really useful for certain genres of photography. But equally, a smaller dynamic range can be very useful as well. So it's like everything we say, it just depends on what you want to achieve, and knowing the tools and techniques available to you and being wise with it. Because like they say in Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility.
Or, break some rules and
realize why they're rules and never do it again.
No, Joel, no. I think somebody should challenge, do an over HDR'd image and get Joel to like it. I think that's, come on.
That'd be very impressive.
No need for that face. Have we got time for one more, do you reckon, Joel? One more question.
Okay, this one. Is a tripod worth it? See last week.
Yeah, I mean,
it just depends.
Ultimately, is that the question? Is a tripod worth it?
Yeah. It just depends on what you need it for.
Yeah, I think ultimately, I mean, I don't use a tripod a lot of the time because it doesn't fit into what I photograph an awful lot. But even for what I do, like the odd time that I need it, it's so important. And even having just something, relatively inexpensive, you don't want to put something. We mentioned it last week. We did a whole episode on tripods.
And Paul's
so you don't. Head. Yeah. You don't want to go super cheap because you're putting on potentially expensive equipment onto it. So, but there's always going to be, and you never know. Someone might say, do you want to come out landscape photography with me? But it's not normally a thing. And you think, hang on, yeah, I will do. I'll give it a go or something like that. So, it's a great thing to have, and actually a great sort of, it should be one of those things that, right, I've got my camera, I've got like the basics, so I've got like the bag, memory card, potentially the filter. I'll say potentially because I'm not starting that war again, flipping heck. then I think the next thing on after something like that is like a tripod. You know, it's part of that fundamental kit, I feel, anyway. So
yeah, tripods are super useful if you need them, super not useful when you don't need them in terms of walking up a hill and you just don't want to carry one. But like everything, like we just said in HDR conversation, you just need to know what you need it for, and sometimes it'll be a photographer's best friend. It can often be more important than the camera and the lens, arguably, to be able to hold still for long enough. So.
Yeah, you can get a small one though, can't you? Because I find that even one of like the Gorilla Pods or something like that, because that would still do the job. You know, it's still going to get something done. Granted, you're going to be fairly low to the floor or resting somewhere, but if you start needing the use for more tripods, the nice thing with getting a small one first is that you'll always use that small one. They're like the standard sort of, the kit lens that you get in a thing, you always keep that range because no matter what you do, you'll use it sometimes. And it's the same with like a small tripod. You know, you're always going to have need for a small tripod, even if you start getting into the photography that you do that requires like a tripod for like 95% of the photography that you do.
100%. And like we say about bags, you can never have enough tripods.
No, you can never have enough tripods.
I'm sure Johnny Moe last week said he had like at least 5 and was ready to buy more. So there we go.
Oh, dearie me. So, do you reckon, should we squeeze one more in, or should we go to some of the comments?
They've not got many comments, but we can leave some questions for next time. So.
Yeah.
Right. Graham says, "Hi guys." Hi Graham. Great to see you.
Graham.
An afternoon, guys, from Gareth. Good to see you too, Gareth. Hope to
Good to see you, Gareth. Thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah. And then Ian says, "Olden times, Paul. That taught me all about exposure using slide film in my cameras. No second chances then." Yeah. We don't know we were born, do we, with the digital?
No, I'll tell you not. And it's
although those pictures of the Portra 400 last week do make you kind of go, but there was something magic about film, or still is.
The thing with ye olden times, flipping heck. I remember them, and I'm not even. Are we at that point yet, Joel? We're still too young to sort of refer back to film, aren't we? Or are we just on the cusp?
I'm not ready to embrace being old. So.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so, but yeah, it's interesting because like the way that we learn photography now is completely backwards from the way that we used to learn it. Because you either had a snap happy, camera that took 35mm film, and you couldn't change anything. You just slapped it in and away you go. And then the other option was like, well, it's got all these not all these settings. They were relatively simple, but it would be a case of it would be fully automatic. Or if you wanted to get into photography, you would have to have this camera that you could change, like your aperture, your shutter. And then the way that you would have to improve would be you'd have to start on manual and learn the hard way. You'd have to figure out the settings. Where a lot of the way that we teach now is sort of working the other way. So it's just like, well, you've got the automatic functions. These are all the lovely things that are happening. And you want to try and use as many auto features as possible, depending on the type of photography that you do, because they're there to help you. It's the technology that you're buying into. And then, you can change the bits that you need to change. And again, depending on the style of photography that you shoot, you want to use those automatic functions as potentially as much as possible, and just change the bit that you want. So yeah, it's but yeah, the hardest way to learn was full manual on slide film, because there was no tolerance there. You had to get it right. That was it. It was just do or die.
Aren't we so glad digital is far more forgiving?
Oh yeah, I couldn't shoot on slide now. I'm just it's same in the studio as well. It's just like don't even like Someone said, "Don't you use a light meter?" And it's just like, you just don't need to now. There's so much tolerance. It's just
It's interesting at the wedding. The lad who was shooting on A7 III, but he had a Hasselblad with him with some Portra in it, and
nice.
he was like, "Right, I'm about to shoot on my old camera," and he's just like there, kind of getting ready, and you're like, "Oh, I hope he gets it right." But yeah, there's something pretty cool to see a wedding photographer shooting on some film again.
Yeah, that I call it the flop. I don't know whether it's the right terminology, but that, you know, like the sounds that are, because it's the shutter going off, and then you've got the leaf thing that happens sort of in the back, and it's got this sound to it. Oh, it's just
cool.
Ooh,
it sounds pretty momentous, doesn't it? It sounds like, right, I've just taken an epic image.
Yeah, we've had a fair few comments, Joel, about people wanting to see the film sort of part of Photography Out Loud. So we're going to need to get this sort of rolling now, I think, more than hopefully anytime soon. But like we said sort of last time, it's we just haven't got a lot in at the moment, which is the problem, because we want to show you like loads of different things, and just our stocks are a bit low on the old 35mm front. So
we've been
but it will build
loads
up.
Of it.
It
hopefully when people, you know, become more free again and COVID's less of an issue, and getting hold of film isn't as difficult, because literally we order packs of film in, and it goes out within a few days, and then we're reordering, and we've actually started like just automatically putting orders in for like 2 or 3 times as much as we normally would, just to try and keep on top of demand, which is cool. It's great to see, and the fact that our film shelf looks like a rainbow is amazing. So I love that. It's so brightly coloured. You don't get memory cards like that, do you? You get like gold, silver, and blue. Whereas in film, it's like bright yellows and greens and reds and blues and all sorts. It's amazing.
I love it. Yeah, they just haven't changed like the packaging from 25 years ago. So really retro packaging. Right, well, that's brilliant. Well, thank you to everyone that has joined us this week live. It's always lovely to see people tuning in live and joining in with the comments. It's nice to see. So keep those comments rolling in. So this is like ask a question sort of part of that we do, that we're going to try and do on a regular-ish occurrence. We don't want to do it sort of every week, so we want to provide you with lots of different things that we love doing here. But yeah, if you've got any sort of photography-related questions, you can always stick them into the comments on this video below. Or there's lots of ways to get in contact with us, isn't there, Joel?
There is. Do you want me to do it?
Yeah, you can do.
You can like, share, and subscribe.
Oh, to contact us?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Facebook message, email, telephone, Instagram direct message,
loads.
Post.
Absolutely loads.
Oh, chat on our website.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely loads of different ways.
Or you can pop into the shop and ask us a question. Oh, there's probably like Google messaging as well.
Yeah, absolutely loads. So there's lots of different ways to get in contact with us. So any questions that you got, you know, drop them in, and we can definitely help you out. Not a problem whatsoever. So as always, please make sure that you go over to our Facebook and YouTube channels, hit the like and subscribe button as much as you possibly can. The more you interact with these videos, the more it helps us with pushing the what we do here forward as much as we possibly can. So yeah, give it a big thumbs up.
I feel like we need to start having some slides, Paul, that have like thumbs up, the bell icon.
Is there any built into?
I don't think so.
No, there isn't. So there's that one. There you go. I can put that at the bottom for a little bit. Should that go at the bottom?
No, it looks like we're on the BBC News or something.
Yeah. Breaking news. Please like and share this video. Oh, dearie me. So, but yeah, I know we can work on stuff like that, can't we? Like big, like, can we have like a floating thumbs up that goes across the screen?
No.
And some like really horrible sound effects that go with it, like like that.
No. That I'd be a categoric no. That can go in the same box as horrible HDR.
Yeah, I will agree with you on that one, Joel. I definitely will. So, right, big thank you to everyone watching, and we will see you next week. Bye-bye for now. Haven't got the video ready.
Oh.
Keep waving, Joel. Keep waving.